The recycled air of the first-class cabin on AFL Flight 4501 was already thick with the smell of sanitizing wipes and entitlement. Elias Vance, CEO of Vance Technologies, paused at the threshold, his gaze sweeping over the occupants. He wasn't a man who enjoyed flying. He enjoyed arriving. Today, arrival was non-negotiable. A $9 billion merger waited for him in Chicago, a deal he had personally cultivated for 18 months. Missing it wasn't an option. He clutched his briefcase, a worn leather item that had been his father's. It was the only sentimental thing he allowed himself on business trips. He was a man of quiet, understated power. He wore a simple, dark gray cashmere sweater and tailored trousers. The gold Patek Philippe on his wrist was visible only when he moved his hand. He didn't need logos to announce his arrival. His presence, his very stillness, did that for him. He located his seat. 1A, the bulkhead window seat. He'd chosen it specifically. It offered privacy and a clear exit. But today it was occupied. A large man, florid-faced and loud, was planted firmly in 1A. He was already shoeless, his stocking feet pressed against the bulkhead. His laptop was open on the tray table, and he was barking into a Bluetooth earpiece. "Look, Johnson, I don't care what their ask is. You tell them that I said it's a no-go. I'm getting on this flight, and I expect it to be handled by the time I land. No excuses." Elias waited patiently for the man to finish his call. The man, whom Elias mentally cataloged as Mr. Henderson based on his bluster alone, finally ended the call with a stabbing finger to his earpiece. He didn't look up. He began typing furiously. "Excuse me," Elias said, his voice calm and level. It was the voice he used in boardrooms, the one that could quiet a room without ever rising above a conversational tone. Henderson ignored him. "Excuse me," Elias repeated, a fraction louder. "I believe you're in my seat." Henderson let out an exaggerated, put-upon sigh. He finally looked up, his eyes a pale, annoyed blue. He raked his gaze over Elias, from his face down to his shoes and back up. It was a look of instant, dismissive appraisal. "Check your ticket, buddy," Henderson grunted, turning back to his laptop. "This one's mine. I'm a platinum member." Elias didn't sigh. He didn't frown. He simply held out his boarding pass, which clearly read Vance, E-Seat 1A. "I have 1A, he stated. "Perhaps you're in 1B. Henderson, with the theatrical exasperation of a man who has never been truly inconvenienced, snatched his own ticket from his shirt pocket. He glanced at it, and for a split second a flicker of confusion crossed his face, quickly replaced by belligerence. His ticket read 12B. "Well, that's just stupid," Henderson scoffed, stuffing the ticket back in his pocket. "Look, I'm settled. My laptop's out. I'm working. You take my seat. It's a window seat, too. You like it?" "My seat is 12B, Elias said. "Your seat is 1A. I like my seat, please." "I'm not moving," Henderson said, his voice rising. He was used to getting his way through sheer volume. "I've got a bad knee. This bulkhead is the only thing that works for me. Be a good sport and just go find my seat. It's an easy swap." He waved a dismissive hand toward the back of the plane. "Go on now." Other passengers were beginning to board, shuffling past the impasse, casting annoyed glances. Elias felt the familiar, dull heat begin to rise in his chest. It wasn't just the inconvenience. It was the assumption that he was the one who should move, that his ticket, his plans, his right to be there was secondary to this man's comfort. He flagged down a flight attendant, a young woman named Sarah, according to her badge. She was already looking stressed, the forced smile on her face tight at the edges. "Sir, can you please take your seat so we can continue boarding?" she asked Elias, the default assumption being that he was the one holding up the line. "I'm trying to," Elias said smoothly. "This gentleman is in my seat 1A. He appears to be assigned to 12B. Sarah's smile faltered. She turned to Henderson. "Sir, I'm going to need to see your boarding pass." Henderson rolled his eyes and produced the ticket. Sarah looked at it and winced. "Oh, yes, sir. I'm afraid there's been a mistake. Your seat is 12B. This is Mr. Vance's seat." "There's no mistake," Henderson boomed. "There's a problem with my knee. I need this seat. I'm a platinum member. For Christ's sake, what's this airline coming to? Just tell him," he jerked a thumb at Elias, "to take my seat. It's a simple fix. Why are you harassing me?" "Sir, I can't ask another passenger to give up their assigned first-class seat," Sarah began, her voice wavering. She was clearly intimidated. "Why not?" Henderson demanded. "He looks perfectly capable of walking a few more rows. Be a problem solver, sweetheart. Don't be a problem creator." Sarah looked at Elias, her eyes pleading. "Sir, would you be willing to take 12B? The flight is completely full. We really need to close the door on time." And there it was, the path of least resistance, the path that was always presented to him. De-escalate, accommodate, give in, make the bully comfortable, make the white man comfortable. Elias looked at Henderson, who was now smirking, his arms crossed over his chest in victory. He looked at Sarah, who was just trying to do her job and avoid a scene. He looked at his watch. 10:22 a.m. The doors were scheduled to close at 10:30. His meeting was at 2 p.m. This was the only flight that would get him there. The cabin seemed to go silent. Elias could feel the weight of a dozen gazes on him. He took a slow, deliberate breath. "No," he said. The word was quiet, but it landed in the cabin like a physical object. Sarah's eyes widened. "Sir," Henderson's smirk vanished. "What did you say?" "I said no," Elias repeated, his voice still calm, but now with a core of tempered steel. "I will not be taking 12B. I will be taking my assigned seat, 1A. I have a time-sensitive meeting in Chicago, and I paid for the specific seat. This gentleman needs to move. Now." "You arrogant," Henderson began, starting to rise from the seat. "Who do you think you are?" "Sir," Sarah said, alarmed. "Please, sir, sit down." "I'm not sitting down." Henderson shouted, now standing in the aisle, squaring off against Elias. "I'm a platinum member. I spend more money with this airline in a month than this guy probably makes in a year. I want him removed. He's causing a disturbance." The gate agent, alerted by the shouting, hurried onto the plane. "What's the problem here?" Sarah explained the situation in a frantic whisper. The gate agent, a man named Tom, sighed and looked at his watch. 10:25 a.m. "Sir," he said to Henderson, "you are not in your ticketed seat. You need to move to 12B immediately, or I will have to deplane you." "Deplane me?" Henderson laughed, a harsh, barking sound. "You're going to deplane your platinum customer? Over this? I'm filming this. This is harassment. This is discrimination." He fumbled for his phone. "I'll sue this airline into ground. This is racist. You're siding with him because..." He couldn't even finish the thought, his logic collapsing on itself. "Sir, this is your final warning." The gate agent said, his patience gone. He reached for his radio. "I'm calling for security." This, Elias knew, was the crux. Security would take 20 minutes to arrive. They would escort Henderson off. The flight
crumbled into pale, terrified comprehension. The quiet, compliant girl he had abused had meticulously documented his downfall. The tool he tried to break became the instrument of his ruin. Ms. Cole turned to Lena, still standing in the dirt, water bottle slipping from her hand. "Lena, you're free to go. We're taking you straight into town. Everything is resolved." That day, Lena left Barrington Farm not just an attorney, but with the full weight of the law behind her. She did not look back. The chains of Elias's prejudice and abuse were shattered by the quiet, meticulous rebellion she had waged with a hidden smartphone and an unyielding will to survive. The subsequent lawsuit became historic. Elias Barrington lost not only his reputation but his farm, confiscated to pay decades of illegally withheld wages and fines, including a massive punitive settlement to Lena Hayes. The echoes of the past that haunted Barrington Farm were finally silenced, replaced by the resounding sound of justice, delivered by the very woman he had tried to treat as property. Lena went on to become an advocate for rural workers, using the wealth gained from her case to ensure no one else would endure the humiliation she suffered on that brutal, sun-scorched land. Her story became a chilling lesson. True power does not come from oppression, but from the unwavering resolve of the oppressed to document and demand their freedom. Se quisser, posso também criar uma versão ainda mais cinematográfica e enxuta, perfida para ser lida como sinopse de thriller ou desrequeo de vídeo, mantendo o impacto dramático e o apelo emocional. Quer que faca.